Hey everyone, and welcome back to Nothing Venture, Nothing Game. As always, I'm your host with the most, your GM Jared. And today I want to talk to you about DC20, a game by Dungeon Coach that is officially on the Kickstarter, and they are at a large number of that will be appearing above my head. But before we jump in, if you could do me a solid and hit that like or subscribe button, it really helps us out. We're a small channel, we're just trying to come on up. DC20 by Dungeon Coach. If you don't know, Dungeon Coach is a YouTuber here on YouTube and started out mainly doing coaching people to play D&D and how to kind of like tweak their rules and turn the rules into something more fun, more interactive. Why does a short sword and a mace do the exact same damage, and how to like change that up? And through their time and effort, they've kind of created this new system from 5th edition, and that is the D20 system. Now, the D20 system, I'm going to talk about the things I like and that's coming up in the system. I actually was a Patreon, so I got to play a little bit of it in the background. And now they have a Kickstarter, and you can kind of get the rules and check it out. And it's really, really interesting system. So will this be the system that kind of takes the Dungeon and Dragon community by storm and change the face of the tabletop community real quick? And I hope it does. I hope it shakes things up so that WotC and Hasbro kind of see what the people really want. And I feel that they have a very large, and again, they kind of blew away their numbers on Kickstarter. And it's huge, and that kind of comes from just, you could see the love that this person has put into this system, and you could really see that like this person took their own advice and what people were saying and put it out there and said, yo, this is what we want. So first things first, let's talk about how the system works. It's a D20 system, basic stuff. This isn't a review. The system's not out, and it's constantly changing and updating. So it's still a D20 system, ironically DC 20, and it's a roll high, right? So if you gotta beat 8, you gotta beat a score. If you have to roll higher than a 5, you gotta roll higher than a 5. Add your mods and stuff like that. So the first thing, number one, I really like, coming from Pathfinder 2nd Edition, that I thought really changed things up, was their action economy. Now Pathfinder 2nd Edition has a 3 action system. Similar, DC20 has a 4-point system, a 4 action point system. These action points can be used for various things: spells, changing the spells, moving, doing stuff. Reactions, you can actually do nothing on your turn and wait for stuff to attack, and you could spend your spend your action points to kind of react to stuff around you. So that's a really cool system. I think a lot of people are going to enjoy having this freedom. I kind of saw it coming from Pathfinder 2nd Edition. A lot of people, when they would sit down who were from 5th Edition, played Pathfinder 2nd Edition, loved that 3 action system. They thought it was really dope. So I could see that 4 action system and the way he created it, working it with spells and such. I could see that really tying in the game and making players have a blast. Next up is your primary stat. This is something that if you read their Kickstarter, it talks about a little bit. But the primary stat is basically when you create your character, you choose a primary stat to be their character's like stat that they build off of. Now, I haven't played a lot of DC20 and I haven't GM'd a lot of it, so I can't really say how great or terrible this works. But basically, the primary stat is like, if you make a wizard, you could set your strength to your wizard, and you can make a fighter with their intelligence. I know that's the one that you've heard a lot of people talk about, like, oh, the wizard with strength and the fighter with intelligence. You could do a rogue, with intelligence, and a bard with strength. I think that would be fun. So basically, that's your primary stat. So whenever you do anything, that's the stat that you're rolling with the most. Another thing I really like from the DC20 stuff that is coming out. You have stamina points and mana points, and I guess you could probably figure it out, right? We're all tabletop fanatics here. That's where you check out NBNG. So they have stamina points, and these stamina points are used by marshals to use stuff like techniques, and techniques are kind of like they're like baseline abilities your class has, and you fuel them with stamina points, and they could do really cool stuff. And it's an interesting system to make your marshals feel special. And then obviously mana points, and mana points are for, instead of spell slots, you now have mana points, and then you spend your points as you like to see fit. Similar to Dragonbane, you could check out our video on Dragonbane and our plays of Dragonbane on our channel. We like Dragonbane here, but Dragonbane uses a similar system with mana points. So your spells cost a certain amount, then you make a check and you spend the spells, and you can kind of craft your spells as you're spending mana points. Maybe they should have been spell points, but mana points. And you can kind of warp your spells and change them, similar to the sorcerer's meta magic that they get from 5th edition. So stuff like that. And I think a lot of people really like that ability as a caster, to be able to kind of warp your spells and change them to fit your scenario. And I could see you spending mana points. And again, Dungeon Coach really listened to what the players and his audience really wanted and was asking for from 5th edition. And this is kind of a compilation of all that stuff that he has dealt with. And he's a very large YouTuber. So he's obviously had a lot of input for that. And then next up, another thing I really enjoy is their rolling system. And this is very, again, coming from Pathfinder 2nd edition, and I could see very similar. So in Pathfinder 2nd edition, not to go into rules, but basically if you roll 10 above or 10 below, it's a critical hit, critical success. In DC20, they go by 5s. So enemies have a defense score, and every 5 you roll above, you deal more damage. And similar to skill challenges or skill checks, you gain +1 skill point for every 5 you beat the DC by. And it makes these checks and challenges and rolling higher and lower kind of feel dramatic. So it's not like you just have to roll a nat 20. Maybe they have a defense score of 10 and you roll a 15. You beat that by 5, so now you deal more damage. So if you feel more dramatic, it's again, we kind of saw 5th edition and Dungeons and Dragons moving to this high fantasy world, and DC20 again. Dungeon Coach really took into consideration what the players were asking for, and that's to feel dramatic, to feel the tension, to have those moments where you see on TV when you're watching a movie, the heroes having those crazy dramatic moments. That's what you're getting from this system. So if DC20 sounds like something you want to kind of like check out, again, the Kickstarter, this isn't paid, by the way. I probably should have said that in the beginning. This isn't paid. Dungeon Coach seems like a cool person. They didn't pay us for this. This is just kind of like, I could see this is the evolution. This is the D&D 1 that people wanted, or the 6th edition, or the 5.5. And really, like, I could see DC20 kind of being this shakeup that we really needed in the tabletop community, especially for 5th edition. 5th edition is great. It's such an easy system to learn and to kind of have like those plug and plays, but then it kind of gets repetitive and dull. And like, yeah, you could start at higher levels, but what does that really change? Not much, And, could this system dethrone D&D? Really, I come from the era where World of Warcraft was huge, and then every MMO that came out was this the WoW killer? And I feel like I see a lot of that online with this system, and I'm sure the Dungeon Coach would be ecstatic. They must be ecstatic with the numbers they're seeing on their Kickstarter, and I'm sure they're hyped to see their child, right? Like a creative seeing this creation grow and become awesome. So I could see that. But one thing, we could tell from the people sending their money and kind of generating this like energy behind this is this is going to be an exciting change for the community, and I'm excited to be here, to be able to kind of get my hands on it when it comes out, when the Kickstarter drops, and to really get to play and dive into this world or this system that they've created, because this isn't like one system to rule them all. This is the more different systems we have, the better chances we have to play with different people, and that's my goal, and that's the goal I feel that like a lot of gamers want, is to be able to go out there, play, and have a blast and enjoy each other's company. So if you liked what we did here, and you liked all this jazz, and you support DC20, and you support gamers, support NVNG, and drop us a like and a subscription, and obviously if you want to hit that the bell somewhere down there, you hit the bell and go ding, and then next time we upload a video, you'll get a thing. You don't have to, but we would really support it. We are a small channel. We're trying to grow. So, but with all that, as always, we are nothing venture, nothing gain. We love rolling dice, giving advice with a little bit of that New York spice. See y'all later.